Welcome to this week's episode of SA Boxing Talk, South Africa's #1 online boxing talk show. We're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about a local fight potentially that's going to be happening. Nontshinga versus Tyirha. Tyirha, the South African junior flyweight champion. Nontshinga, the IBF international junior flyweight champion. This is a mouth-watering contest, and there's a lot of tug of war from an administrative point of view. But why does this fight have to happen?
Well, this fight has to happen purely because these are the two best in the country in their weight division at that level. Obviously, Sive's, he's climbed, he's knocked out everyone he's come up against. Tyirha's fought the likes of Nkosinati Joy. He came up short that day, but if you look at Joy as a whole in his whole career, he was always the favorite to win that fight. In saying that, now you've got two youngsters coming up against each other to sort of contest to see who the best youngster and the guy that's going to go forward in the Eastern Cape as well.
And also, let's talk about the rivalry. It goes back from amateur days. Rivalry, local fights, let's talk about the importance of it in South African boxing.
Well, for one, they create a big buzz amongst the fans. So, yeah, the local fights are great. People want to see the local fights. It divides the fans' opinions, but it's great. It creates a great spectacle.
And talking about fans, and it's something that we have to talk about. We spoke about it off camera, and the relevance of social media in this day and age in South African boxing. It plays such a pivotal role in making these kind of fights and creating this kind of rivalry because you've got fans who will support Tyirha and you've got fans who support Nontshinga, and inevitably the promoters and the managers out there have to listen to what the fans have to say on social media.
Absolutely, it's fight build-ups, it's how to sell tickets, it's not just doing what you want to do, it's doing what's in the best interest of the public. Also, you want to learn about the fighters behind the scene, you want to have a story, you want to be able to follow someone based on the fact that they got something to say that really connects with you, and you going out to watch that person not only for their boxing ability, but for them as a person. And I think that the boxing promoters and managers and so forth need to start interacting with the public because people want to hear what's going on, otherwise they're going to forget about it.
Well, not almost, it would be a little bit kind of amateurish if the promoters got continuously involved in social media and keep answering every single person. But how important is it for the promoters to actually be reading and following social media to make these fights, these local fights particularly, actually happen?
Well, it's the easiest way for a promoter to know what the fans are thinking. So it is very important. Obviously, there's some people who will say stupid things on social media, things that are not warranted. But it's a great way for the promoters to know what's.
And talking about fans, and you either loved him or hate him, Tevin lost the IBF Super Featherweight Championship this last weekend against Jojo Diaz. Where does this leave the division?
It's quite open now. I mean, Jojo Diaz walks into a division now where he gets to challenge the likes, some of the other champions now. A little bit of a shock. I mean, this is a little bit of karma coming back to Tevin. I mean, he posted about your fighter, Azinga Fuzile. He didn't want to knock a guy when he was down, but he can't fight a guy that's been knocked out by Rakimov, is what he was said. And they said that he didn't want any of that heat. It's come back to bite him in the ass now because he's now lost his title. He's down in the dumps, and now he's going to try to find his way up to the top.
Yeah, he's talking about a media rematch. I somehow don't think that's going to happen. How does the rematch go if it happens?
I think Diaz wants even more convincing. I mean, he won quite comfortably in last week's fight, but I think he even does a better job this time around, second time around.
Guys, for wanting to know, the IBF will make a ruling with regards to Rakimov and Fuzile this week. Hopefully Friday, depending on the time zones and so forth, but we're looking forward to that. Hopefully Azinga's still in the mix. I'm sure he will be. How do you think Azinga does against Jojo Diaz?
It's interesting. I think Azinga Fuzile is a difficult fight for anybody, just stylistically. I mean, even for a guy like Rakimov coming to the Eastern Cape and making an A-grade fighter like Rakimov, which he really is, a C-grade, look C-grade for the duration of the fight up until obviously talking points and controversy came in. I think he can give Jojo Diaz a difficult time, just as I thought he would give Tevin a difficult fight. I thought he was a much harder fight than Rakimov would be for either of those guys. So in saying that, I think Fuzile's got a really good chance of winning.
Do you think Farmer will move up now, or do you think he's going to try and press for the rematch like he said on social media this past week?
Well, I remember on social media he's been saying that this is his last year at 130 pounds. So if he's pushing for a rematch, then it has to happen next. Otherwise, then he moves up to lightweight, which I don't see him really becoming champion.
I don't think he's big enough to fight at 135 right now.
Also, look at the champions of the lightweight division.
Yeah.
I mean, Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, the list goes on and on. Those guys are killers.
Also, it would be unjust for me not to make a comment on the horrible footage we saw of Gervonta Davis this week throttling a girl from what we saw on camera. Absolute disgrace. Surely the WBA have to do something about this, or one of the local boxing commissions. I know he handed himself over to authorities, but having said that, just disgraceful scenes that we saw on social media from him.
Yeah, it's disgraceful, and he's got a bit of the Adrian Broner in him as well. I think hanging out to that man too long has caused a lot of problems, and I don't know if it is Adrian Broner to blame fully, but he's definitely got that influence in him.
Do you think he's going to be one of those fighters who absolutely self-destructs?
It looks like it. I mean, how many times has he missed weight? And now you see there's now domestic violence involved. I mean, to me, it just looks like he's just on a slippery slope.
On that note, we will see you again shortly. Stay tuned and thanks for watching SA Boxing Talk.